Hello everyone, I'm Keiko's Reacts, and today I am going to be presenting you with the fifth console installment of this franchise, the most anticipated game of 2012, a game that was supposed to stun everyone and leave everyone's mouths agape, but it didn't. Assassin's Creed 3. Now I'm just going to show you some new things that we have in the options compared to the previous games. We don't have nearly as many languages spoken or subtitled in this game. And then general settings are just about the same. I believe this was also in Revelations, where you could toggle the stereoscopy, but we will not be bothering with 3D in this game. And next is the controls. If only there was an option that said make controls better. Unfortunately, there is not. HUD options are the same as they were in previous Assassin's Creed games. You can toggle certain notifications that come up on your HUD. I'm leaving them all on. The extras is mostly online stuff, downloadable content, news feeds, leaderboards, and whatnot. So, now that I've pretty much showed you the opening menus, showed you what they were all about, how about we just get into the game?
Used to be when people talked about the end of the world, we locked them up, or laughed them off. Sometimes both. But we never took them seriously. Maybe we should have. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Better to start at the beginning, with the abduction of Desmond Miles, my son. This boy had no ambition, no direction, no plans for the future. What he did have was a heritage, one he chose to deny. It nearly cost him his life. He was captured and imprisoned. Those who took him believed he could help them find something. The apple. One of several artifacts we call pieces of Eden. Bits of ancient technology scattered across the globe. Some hidden, some found, all of them dangerous. Most are held by a single group, the same group that now had Desmond. You know them as Abstergo Industries. We know them as the Templars, as the enemy. We've been fighting them for thousands of years, even longer if you believe the stories of their origins. I do. After all, I've seen the truth. That's the beauty and the horror of the Animus. A device that allows us to enter and experience the lives of our ancestors. It holds the power to change everything, to show us history the way it really happened. Up until its creation, to the victor went the spoils, went the truth. We're trying to fix that, to free minds and bodies both. But there's only so much that we can do, and the Templars have the upper hand these days. But something larger than the Assassins and Templars is approaching, bigger than all of us. And if we can't find a way to stop it, these next few weeks will probably be our last. Everyone's last. In the end, it all comes down to him. To Desmond. Through the Animus, he discovered his heritage, explored the lives of his ancestors, and uncovered their secrets. When that was done, he trained. He used another ancestor to provide decades of experience in the span of a few days. It worked. We think. We hope. Soon, though, soon we'll know. That ominous date fast approaches, December 21st, 2012. None of us knows what it'll bring, only that this is where they want us to be, when it does. They've been guiding us in their own fractured, frustrating way. These voices from the first civilization, the ones who came before, a precursor race of immense power and uncertain motives. They're the ones who made the pieces of Eden. This is where they've led him, and through him, us. He stands at the entrance to this long-lost place, armed with the knowledge of Altair and the abilities of Ezio. He holds in his hands the apple of Eden, and we stand at his side, ready to support him however we can. His name is Desmond Miles, and he has brought us to the end. here. Let's go.
To add on to the recap, this is where we left off with Assassin's Creed Revelations. We arrived at this cave in Turin, New York, right after Desmond snapped out of a coma.
In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again.
I think we're here.
Well, looks like there's no going back now. That's another thing I want to touch up on about this game. The subtitles sometimes add awkward emphasis and pauses when certain lines of dialogue do not have them, for whatever reason. I know it's really insignificant, but it still really annoys me.
You must find the key.
Son?
Sir. Here we go again.
Desmond?
Do you hear us?
Yeah. What happened?
The temple triggered a bleeding effect. You collapsed and entered into a fugue state.
So naturally, you dropped me into the Animus instead of, I don't know, making sure I was okay?
You weren't in any danger. Besides, the temple appeared to be communicating with you. And I didn't want to risk severing the connection. At least not until we knew what it wanted.
Right. Of course.
Son,
No, it's fine. I get it. And I know what I'm looking for, by the way. It's a key. Just no idea where it is, though. I guess that's why she triggered the bleeding effect.
She?
Juno, Dad. She's talking to me.
Okay, Desmond. While you were, visiting Constantinople, we picked up a software update for the Animus. I'd like to run a couple of quick tests, make sure there aren't any major issues.
All right. What do you need me to do?
We'll start simple. Walk to the marker over there.
Alright, so I walk around in a circle and then run around in a circle real quick to demonstrate to you, yes, this game's running is about as clunky as it looks. Part of the software update that Rebecca mentioned is the adaptation of the old Anvil physics engine, known as Anvil Next, which is now being used in this game. And with an adaptation to the physics engine comes a tweak in the controls.
Okay, Desmond. Let's practice climbing on these objects.
Climbing, for example, is much more tethered in this game than it is in previous Assassin's Creed games. I don't know, it feels more artificial. Like, it's hard to deviate from a climbing path than it is in previous games. And stuff like that, like the climb leap, it's no longer a technique. It's just a normal climbing move. So jumping to the side, catch back, they're all these neat free-running techniques we learned back in the older games that we don't really get to use much.
Run your way through this little obstacle course.
Free running is the worst part about this game. All the free running is now mapped to the right trigger and the left stick. You don't use the A button to jump from obstacle to obstacle, and as such, free running is very clunky and it feels effortless and really unrewarding.
That's a constraint. These are optional objectives that raise your synchronization rate. Alright, Desmond, follow the on-screen instructions and kill the 2 Templars.
Targeting is also slightly different. You'll still target the nearest guy that the game feels like you should be targeting, but you can also move it around like an aiming reticle to other things and other targets. And at least assassination is still the same thing. You can even air assassinate without targeting.
All you have to do here is jump the gap.
There are very few moments in this game where you will be using the A button to jump in your free running, and they will most likely be moments when your character just gets stuck on an obstacle and can't move. Like here, for example. Although most of the time, once you get this in the actual game, it's most likely a jump that you can't make, because the free running system would just make you jump for it automatically if you can make it. Like this, for example. I'm not pressing the A button here, and yet we're still making these big jumps.
Synchronization levels look good now. We should be able to build the world. Time to find out what the temple wants from you.
And this is the first ancestor we will be playing as in this game, Haytham Kenway, also known as the best character in this entire game.
Sir. Everything all right, sir?
Yes, fine. I'm just preoccupied, that's all.
Don't forget your invitation. Master Birch will be meeting you inside.
Thank you.
Where shall I retrieve you once you're done?
Front of the Opera House. And be quick about it. Don't expect to be here long.
I'll bring her round at once.
Invitation, please. Shall I take your coat, sir?
Yes, well, frankly, half the...
Ladies and gentlemen, you are requested to kindly find your seats.
Good evening, sir. This way, please.
Apologies.
Evening, Hatham.
Reginald?
I can't tell you how happy I was to hear they'd mounted this revival. Gay's best work by far. Have you seen it before?
Once. My father brought me here as a child. Though I remember little of it. I don't suppose tonight will afford me the luxury of a proper viewing either.
No, I'm afraid it won't. On to business then. Do you see him?
Eagle Vision is also carried over from Assassin's Creed Revelations, as in it is mapped to the left stick instead of the Y button like it's supposed to be.
He's seated in one of the boxes above.
The stairs are watched. You'll need to find another way up.
Like me too, he acts in a double capacity.
I already have.
Against rogues and for them. For 'tis but fitting that we should protect and encourage cheats, since we live by 'em.
Sir, Black Mall had sent word her trial comes on in the afternoon, and she hopes you will order matters so as to
1,000
bring her up.
pardons.
As the
So sorry.
very active and industrious, you may satisfy her that I'll soften the evidence.
Tom Gates,
Alright, so these databases that pop up, I will not be going into them as I play the game because they disrupt gameplay, and it's really jerking. So, I will have separate videos for each of my recording sections showing off the databases that we come across, so that you can all read them at your own leisure. Even though most of them have huge spoilers in them, I will take care not to show those in the video until the time is appropriate. And here is a nice way to introduce an assassination, by climbing around in an opera house where absolutely nobody can see you from here, especially not the target who is sitting directly across from you. I guess the Beggars Opera is really just that good, huh? Now we have a new gameplay mechanic, which they don't carry over into other Assassin's Creed games, thankfully. Lockpicking. You hold each of the thumbsticks in a certain direction and then mash the right trigger. It's just a tedious process.
I've got a bit of stage fright.
Getting wasted before going on stage. Fantastic. This is an interesting way of sneaking backstage, though, Hatham.
Jeremy's really burning with the thoughts tonight. He's a marvel.
of love like law are won by time, and you must be feeding to our heart.
Hatham. You should have come to me. We would have found another way. Yes. But then you would have known. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. As am I.
And now it's time to get the hell out of here.
Stateside balcony! Hurry!
Come, please!
Over there! That man there! Seize him!
Whatever has happened?
but I've done no wrong. I search it. Any weapons?
News spreads fast.
Beg your pardon. They pushing.
Gentle pushing is now mapped to the A button, which is a much more convenient placement than having the A button steal from people as you walk by them. But it's still...
What are those men doing in there?
It's still not accurate to the puppeteering concept that was introduced in previous Assassin's Creed games. But ever since Assassin's Creed Revelations, I guess we kind of forgot about that puppeteering concept.
Where are you going?
And all of these civilians who get apprehended by guards, you don't have to worry. You can't get caught in this section.
You search down there. Very well. If you find anyone, give a shout.
The game's not going to screw you over and get you caught for no reason because you don't know where to go. Even though it's blatantly obvious where you should go.
And how was the opera?
Rather dull, truth be told.
Shall we be off then?
Aye. To Fleet and Bride.
By your command.
Fascinating. Gentlemen, I hold in my hand a key. And if this book is to be believed, it will open the doors of a storehouse built by those who came before.
Ah, yes. Those who ruled, reigned, and vanished from the world. Do we know what it is that will be held within?
It could contain certain knowledge. Perhaps a weapon, or something as yet unknown, unfathomable in its construction and purpose. It could be any of these things, or none of them. They are still an enigma, these precursors. But of one thing I am certain. Whatever waits behind those doors shall prove a great boon to us all.
Or our enemies, should they find it first.
They won't. You've seen to that.
I assume you know where this storehouse is?
Ah, Mr. Harrison.
Gentlemen.
How fare your calculations?
I believe the site lies somewhere within this region.
That's a lot of ground to cover.
My apologies. Were that I could be more accurate.
That's all right. It suffices for a start. And that is why we've called you here, Master Kenway. We'd like for you to travel to America, locate the storehouse, and take possession of its contents.
I'm yours to command. Although a job of this magnitude will require more than just myself.
Of course. Upon this paper are the names of 5 men sympathetic to our cause. Each is also uniquely suited to aid you in your endeavor. With them at your side, you will want for nothing.
Well, then I'd best be on my way.
I knew our faith in you was not misplaced. We've booked you passage to Boston. Your ship leaves at dawn. Go forth, Hatham, and bring honor to us all.
I believe that will be enough for this section, so I will see you guys next time.